Caroline, who have you got?
My Wally of the week is the BBC. Not only have they exposed themselves as Trump derangement sufferers to the extreme and anti-Israel, we all knew all of this stuff, but their radical gender ideology has reached a new low. Take a look at them now telling their viewers why, I can't even say this, like milk from transgender women is equal to that of natural breast milk.
Now, transgender woman's milk is just as good for babies as breast milk. That's according to a letter from the medical director at University Hospital Sussex NHS Foundation Trust. The claim was made as part of a response against campaign groups. The trust referred to studies and the World Health Organization guidance, including one case which found what it called no observable effects in babies fed by induced lactation.
Maybe we should come back to those babies and, 5, 10, 15 years to see what kind of effects this sort of rubbish is going to have on them.
But even just what she said, one study that noted one case where the baby wasn't observed to have adverse effects. Well, what did they expect the baby to do? Like, we're talking about a cocktail of drugs that someone takes so they can lactate and secrete something that the BBC claims is as good as
Apologies if you're having your breakfast right now. It really is quite disgusting.
Or if you're lactating.
But this goes to something...
Naturally.
But this goes to something that Rita was talking about earlier, which was the e-safety commissioner. One of the people she banned, or whose tweets she banned, was a friend of this show, Jasmine Sussex, simply for pointing out that, in her opinion, she's not a midwife, but
she was a breastfeeding counsellor. She helped women breastfeed.
She lost her job. She's been on outside. She lost her job. She got into all sorts of trouble, Queensland Health. And the e-safety commissioner banned one of her tweets where she simply said men can't breastfeed.
It's extraordinary because their slogan was breastfeeding is best. Are we now going to change that to chest feeding is best?
It is.
Well, it wouldn't be true if they said that chest feeding is best.
Well, she's a good contender, this BBC reporter, yes. So the e-safety commissioner in with her. Next.
Well, I think it's the BBC in total there. That's the institutional bias. I'm going to nominate Climate Council CEO Amanda Mackenzie. Let's hear from her.
The Liberal National Coalition is ditching net zero. They've gone from I don't hold a hose mate to we're throwing fuel on the fire. It's a reckless plan to torch both our climate and our economy. If this was enacted by a government, it would mean more fires, more floods, more deadly heat waves. It's saying to hell with our kids' future, to hell with the communities in Taree battling floods, or to communities in Western Sydney dealing with deadly heat waves.
Yeah, if that's the argument and the hysteria and the really quite adolescent scaremongering that the Libs will need to counter, you know what? It's not going to be hard to defeat that. But you need to actually come with a message, be consistent, have some policy discipline, and that sort of hysteria is easily defeated because the Australian public are too smart for that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to nominate a bunch of Wallies of the Week. They can collectively pick up their prize maybe later this afternoon. This is the Libs who supported net zero.
Dumping net zero will be code for not being the party of urgent action on climate change.
We just end up being the National Party light.
You're going to be very alone in the community and also the business community.
For so many young voters, that will be a game changer. They will not look at the Liberal Party.
As I said, I've got Andrew Bragg's resignation note here. I've filled it written myself. All we need is Andrew's signature. And away you go, Andrew. All those people who are so proudly warning us that you have to stick with net zero, blah, blah, blah. You lost. So
I got news for them, young people weren't voting for the Liberal Party and the coalition as it is. Sticking with net zero is going to change their mind. Convincing them why their future will be more secure, abandoning net zero will change their mind.
And you want to talk about young people, you look at the impact Donald Trump has had by being unapologetically clear in his policies, not trying to appease anybody. And the support that he's got from young voters is incredible. It even shocked me that the numbers that came through at the last election. And similarly in the UK, you're having an increasing number of young voters gravitating towards Farage, who's very close to Trump and has certainly mirrored a lot of his policies and reforms. So this notion that our youth is uniquely stupid or uniquely left-wing and they cannot be swayed. Well, of course they're not going to be swayed if all they hear at school, from primary school to university, is just this leftist brainwashing. It's what they get from the media, it's what they get from Labor, and it's what they've been largely getting from the Liberal Party. So if they're not actually hearing any competing arguments, why are you shocked that they're going that way?
And there's a natural tendency amongst the young to be rebellious to those, the establishment, if you want to call it that. And young people faced with higher bills and higher, net zero affects everything across the board. Very easy to convince them that how bad net zero is for them and their futures. I'm going to nominate as well this bloke from the Sydney Morning Herald. Headline. His name is James Massola, this character. Opinion. We may well be witnessing the disintegration of the Liberals. This was the genius headline from this week. James, I think what you're actually saying is the reinvigoration of the Liberal Party. Maybe one of your blokes got the typography there wrong, but James, you're definitely up there for a Wally of the Week award. I guess now we have to vote.
Oh, I had more nominations.
You got more? Oh, I said it was a big week for Wallies.
Can we just do one American one, just on something different? This is a devout Christian Democrat, a massive lefty who always tries to push the religious doctrine in some sort of leftist woke way. Well, he's been discovered to be following a whole bunch of prostitutes on Instagram. I don't know how devoutly Christian that is, including one who flaunts herself, this prostitute, as a bisexual Latina cyber slut. That's a direct quote.
Let me guess, he's also a male feminist.
Of course.
But I suppose these women are, what they're doing is empowering.
It must be. It must all just make sense at some level.
Well, can I just quickly moving on from that interesting story, can I just quickly throw in, we don't have to play it again, but I want to throw in my nomination of Jim Chalmers as Wally of the Week. Actually, I think he takes the biscuit for calling cookers and crackpots anyone who opposes net zero, i.e., probably, at my estimate, around 70% of the population. So, Jim Chalmers, cooker and crackpots, if you want to go for the name calling, we're going to call you Wally of the Week. Do you both agree?
Yeah, and I also think we should get cookers and crackpots T-shirts made up and wear them proudly.
Exactly.
That's what it means.
Just extremist.
Extremist, yeah.